Forgiveness can be really hard. Do you want to know how to forgive when it feels hard? I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all over the world about parenting and good communication and how to build strong family bonds, all through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about forgiveness. In this video, we're going to talk about forgiveness and why we need to forgive, and then also what we can do when it feels hard. In order to forgive someone, it is important to understand why forgiveness is important. Otherwise, we might not want to go down that direction, especially if we've been offended. You know, everybody messes up. Everyone. Your parents mess up. Grandparents, I know they seem like they've got it all figured out, but they mess up too. Your favorite teacher, your favorite celebrity, the person who writes the books you like, they all mess up. We're human. That's part of life. Every person makes mistakes and sometimes even does things in the heat of a moment that seems deliberate, but probably was just a mistake too. Most people want good. Most people want to do the right thing, but then sometimes they get off course, or they just have a moment where some of their weaknesses or flaws come out. I've always found it funny how people will not apologize for something because they would say, well, it was just an accident. It's just a mistake. And I would say to myself, yeah, but that's all the more reason then that you should apologize. If you accidentally do something and you make a mistake, say you're sorry. And we need to be able to always be repenting and saying we're sorry, asking someone for forgiveness. But some people don't. We need to ask for forgiveness, but we also need to forgive. Both of those things are part of creating a person who is emotionally strong, who has good relationships, who has healthy attachments with themselves and with other people, and usually has less stress and less drama in their life too. So what is it about forgiveness that's so good for us? Because it is good for us. Did you know that you carry different burdens around with you all the time? I don't know if you've ever read that old story, A Pilgrim's Progress. There is a little pilgrim and he's traveling on his journey and he has a backpack and it's full of things. They're burdens that he carries. They're things that he holds on him. Everywhere he goes, he's putting more things in his backpack. We have to ask ourselves, why is he carrying this backpack around? Does he need to carry the backpack around? He never uses anything out of the backpack. He just keeps carrying it on this long journey. And it's so hard for him. And he gets so tired. He has to learn how to give the backpack up. Well, the same thing happens when we're offended. When someone does something to us that hurts, we stash something in our little backpack in our brain. And you know, we carry it. It's heavy. Every time we see that person, it actually feels like a weight. We want to avoid them. We maybe pretend we don't see them or something if we're going to run into them. Why should we carry that burden around? Why not just free ourselves? Maybe that other person doesn't know that their mistake did offend you. Give them the opportunity to have a fresh slate. They don't know why you're acting so weird and seem so disconnected from them. Now, should they say something about it? Maybe. Could they apologize for something? Maybe. But if you don't bring it to their attention by having a forgiving mindset, they may not get the opportunity to actually ask for forgiveness. So I'm actually saying that it is healthy to forgive before a person even asks for forgiveness. In fact, that is probably the best time to forgive. If you can train yourself to have a habit of forgiveness, you will be happier in your life. Now, I remember a situation from my own life where somebody said something about me that wasn't true. That was hard. It was a hard moment. And I felt incredibly offended because what they were saying was almost the opposite of everything that I had done. And I was trying so hard just to help the person, but they were clearly not understanding it. The way that they were processing it was not the way that I was processing it. We were looking at the situation through completely different lenses. And so I chose to feed that feeling of being offended. I chose to take offense. When I chose to take offense, which quite frankly was a little bit uncharacteristic for me because I'm not the type of person that usually takes offense. I don't see any merit in it. I've logically thought it out and felt like that's not a good way to spend my time or energy, and it doesn't help my relationships. So I just don't, right? Well, this one time, even though I knew better, I did. I was offended because I thought, you've got to be kidding me. This is outright lying to me. And beyond that, it shows completely disrespect to me of who I am in their life. That hurts when you feel like you're not being respected, right? I think that hurts more than anything else. When a person feels like they're not respected, then they start to retaliate. It feels like disrespect feels like the worst thing that could happen to you. And so people start to fight or they start to run away during those times. Well, I spoke some things back that then I almost instantly regretted. You know how that goes. You're like, why did I say that? Well, by that time, the person was saying something back to me, right? And now we had a situation. And this situation needed to be dealt with. I knew it. But I was a little bit fired up. It took me a little bit of time. I had to really think it out. It took me a couple of days before I could fully say I was wrong in that situation. I was completely wrong. The funny thing is before I was able to say I was wrong in that situation, I already told the other person, oh, I forgive you, and then they're probably thinking, for what? Why are you forgiving me? You're the one who's doing something you shouldn't do, right? But I was like, oh, don't worry, I already forgave you. That's fine, because did I have a habit of forgiving? Yes. Was I really fully doing it? No, because when you forgive, you're actually humble. When you forgive another person, you have to be willing to say that you've made a mistake and to recognize your mistake. Then you can see the other person's mistake for what it is. If you don't look at yourself first and get humble about yourself first and say, okay, this is the part where I went wrong. I shouldn't have done it that way. I should have done it like this instead. Okay, now I need to say I'm sorry. If I'm not at a place where I can say I'm sorry for how I took it or what I did, then I'm not actually ready to forgive yet. That's key. Now, everything we talk about on this channel is all about relationships, solving problems in the relationships. You've probably noticed that if you're subscribed to this channel. Did you know that this forgiveness piece is in the middle of all of it? To be a good parent, you have to recognize your own problems and forgive the children again and again and again. In the husband and wife relationship, you've got to forgive again and again. It's one of the things that will make you happy. A good mindset to get into when thinking of forgiving is remembering that everybody has their own perspective or their own story. I have my story about a situation that occurred, but you have your own story about that same situation that we were in together. The way that you see the situation is probably completely different from the way that I see the situation. We have our own stories, our own versions, and our own emotions, thoughts, feelings are wrapped up in these stories as well. So if you want to forgive a person, you've got to step out of your story and into theirs. And I think that's why it's important for me when I'm going to forgive someone to repent of anything I've done wrong first. I look at the story from my perspective, and then I examine myself only, not them. Then I say, okay, you did that wrong. You need to repent for that. You need to say you're sorry for that. Now let's look at the story that could be on their side and how it might look different. At that point, I ask myself a question. What must a person be thinking or feeling in order to do what they did or in order to say what they said? When I ask myself that question, sometimes that's an emotional moment because finally I recognize I didn't care. I'm taking a moment where I'm caring right now by asking that question. That reminds me I didn't care before. I was only thinking of myself in that moment. When we are forgiving another person, we are in a state of caring. They should feel that we care about them. When we're listening to what they have to say, when we're asking them questions, they should know that we care, that there is no judgment there. Instead, there is understanding. That's what true forgiveness is like. If you are humble and you are honest about your own fault in whatever the situation was, then you will have more of a capacity to show grace to that other person. You will be able to understand them and care about them more once you've already forgiven yourself. So, repent, forgive yourself, then care, then forgive them. When I'm talking to another person or trying to see their story that maybe I haven't seen before, I find that I have to look at it with an optimistic lens, or through light. I see myself standing there and they're standing opposite to me, and I'm looking through a light into them. If I can look through an optimistic lens, it will make it easier to forgive. If I can say, anyone could make that mistake. That's part of being human. Or they were probably trying to do something good and it just went wrong. If I can look through a truth light, then I can see them in a better light. In order to truly forgive another person, you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. You have to decide that they weren't a villain. Now, I know that sometimes there's things that happen. There's abuse. There's people who truly do try to hurt other people because they are that malicious. Although that's not the majority of people. Some people start acting that way because you typecast them that way, or because you've typecast them that way, you can only see anything that they do through that lens or in that light. But truthfully, most people do want to do good, and they don't like carrying around their big backpacks of pain either. So give them the benefit of the doubt. Think to yourself, this probably started because they wanted to do something good and somewhere it just went wrong. Or they just had some bad information, and that can happen to anybody. Think of those things so that you can help them feel like they can have a fresh slate with you. The thoughts that you have on the inside are really the heart-changing part of the forgiveness. They don't ever see or hear all of those thoughts that you have. But if you're thinking truly good, charitable thoughts, then they will feel the forgiveness and they'll be able to move on and connect to you, just like you want to connect to them too. An important part of forgiving another person is being calm, and that is something that I can help you with if you struggle with being calm. You need to know how to self-regulate yourself. That's what self-government is all about. So I have an introductory course to self-government that I want to give you for free. It's called the Calm Parenting Toolkit. Even if you're not a parent, the tools in that toolkit will help you communicate calmly with other people. It's on my website, teachingselfgovernment.com. Right now, if you click the link that is below this video in the description section that says teachselfgov.com/toolkit, you can get that Calm Parenting Toolkit for free. So click on that link now. I'll see you there.